How are you doing? I hope you're having a good time. You're watching Smart 24 TV and this is SMB, and we are discussing on the impact of the lockdown, impact of the COVID-19 lockdown on schools, especially in Uganda. And yes, you know very well schools are still locked up until further notice, until we also see that a vaccination of young children that is from 12 years at least will have been fully started, or they will have vaccinated even the teachers. That's when we hope schools to be reopened. But discussions from the ministry are ongoing on how they can consider reopening of medical schools. But let's leave medical schools aside. We're still looking out for these other schools that are not medical, have no any nursing entity or doctorate entity onto them. Well, before we went for a break, Mr. Wagoma was discussing for us lessons that are there to be learned or that were missed out, because we've been in a lockdown before. It's not the first time now to be in the lockdown. And also how the Ministry of Education would have done it better, and telling us how we are in the new world order, the new normal. Please.
Yes, of course, like I said, we have different categories of teachers. There are those who trained during the analog time, when there were no computers in training institutions. There are those who have recently trained when there are computer labs in the schools, and they are all in the field working. Therefore, even when we talk about online learning, we are aware we have those categories of teachers and who need support. Because for you to facilitate learning, you must be well equipped. You cannot give what you don't have. You saw COVID-19 pandemic caught us off guard as a government. There was a planning gap because we had not thought of anything similar to COVID-19, including universities and higher institutions of learning. Because when the school closures came, the teaching learning process came to a standstill. Some universities, yes, had some faculties which continued online, but on the whole, government came to a halt in terms of the teaching learning process. Now, that meant we had only planned for the normal, not knowing that the new normal would come along the way. And now that...
So you were taking things simple, like
we had only planned for the normal life, kind of life, not expecting these other unplanned for things. Now, COVID-19 came with so many challenges, but we have also learned lessons. And therefore, going forward, we need to plan for the unknown. Because something similar to COVID or worse than COVID-19 may come along the way.
We don't know even what's coming next year.
You never know. And governments tried interventions to continue the teaching learning process. But like even a doctor has said, she could not tell who was learning and who was not learning. Yes, you are making an intervention, but how many are taking part and how many are really learning? So even the government came up with radio lessons, but if you are on radio, how about the deaf? They came up with the television lessons, how about the blind? They came up with printing of materials and distribute them. But do you know who is where?
And they didn't effectively distribute.
How do you tell that there are so many learners of P1 in this village and so on? So it was an experience that really showed that we were firefighting and we could not even assess and evaluate what we were doing as interventions. Now, leave alone that, the connectivity within the country itself is a very big challenge. We attend meetings online, but you will realize a meeting of around 80 people. At any one time, you will be having 50 if you are lucky. But even the 50, you will see them leaving, joining, leaving, joining.
What
now,
are you
when
trying
you
to
ask
say?
them
It's not
what
a good
what
time.
the meeting was about, they will actually not tell you what transpired. Because every time you are leaving, you are joining. You are leaving, you are joining. And that is the experience. So if that is the lesson being taught, this person who is leaving and joining, what has the person learned? And therefore, we need to look at all these in a nutshell and say, what do we do going forward? Recently in July, they increased the taxes on data.
Yes, the 12%.
So how do you manage? The parents are poor. They lost jobs. Others are at half pay. Others are waiting to see when COVID-19 ends. That's when they will go back to work. They are struggling to have a meal. Now, there is also the continuity of teaching and learning. So it's a very funny experience. But also, like I said, you see everybody is concerned. When they see my vehicle, which is labeled UNAT, the first question is, are our children going back to school and when?
They're asking you.
Yes. And I don't have the answer. Now, going forward, government needs to prioritize. Because, frankly speaking, if government does not prioritize the vaccination, then we shall have endless lockdowns without any change. You go into lockdown, you come out of lockdown, you go into lockdown, the pressures come, you reopen, but we shall not move an inch. So,
and what priorities are you looking for?
Now, the president said teachers should be vaccinated. Super. But where are the vaccines? He has added on the learners from 12 years and above. Where are the vaccines? But these are not the only people who are in the school environment. We also need to have the non-teaching staff vaccinated. So that as we move forward, we reopen, because if the situation remains like this, I want to assure you, government will have challenges ahead. So many girls have been impregnated, they have been defiled, some have been married off, there are children who have gone into child labor, and they are facing all sorts of abuses. Now, it has been proven beyond reasonable doubt that the school is the safest place for the learners, for the school-going children. They are not safe with parents. And people have always underrated the role teachers play in society. I think today,
not anymore.
if you ask any parent, any guardian, they will tell you what a teacher means.
Yeah.
Because they have seen the experience, they have gone through it, they are tired of it, they are only praying that the schools reopen and the learners go and find their teachers. I want to assure you, even if you are a teacher by profession, your children will not listen to you. They want to listen to their teacher.
But to them, you're a parent.
However good you are not their teacher. You are the mother, you are the father. Now, we are going to face a challenge. Because all these girls who have been impregnated, you hear in one district over 1,000, over 1,500, that is a very big challenge to the country. Because these child mothers cannot nurture the children they are producing.
Okay.
They will be mothers and not parents. Now, if we have very many mothers who are not parents, because one of the challenges we are facing in the education sector is poor parenting. So if we have really, we have children who do not have any background from the environment
parenting. We
are.
will go back to parenting, but just to let you know on some of school highlights on reopening from the president's speech, he said schools will remain closed until sufficient vaccination of the eligible population and children aged 12 to 18 years old have taken place. Another is that the Ministry of Education and Sports, National Council for Higher Education and Ministry of Health should meet and plan for the possibility of safe reopening of medical schools, like I said earlier. And also, learning should continue virtually. Ministry of Education and Sports will provide learning materials to the learners. So we're not seeing a very great change like the previous lockdowns, only that this time he has directed 12 aged people between 12 and 18 to be vaccinated, and also that to consider the sector of medication, but that one has always been considered first for reopening, so it's not very new to me. And which brings me to Dr. here, Dr. Barbara Biondo, who is CEO at Victoria Schools, to continue discussing with us here. How do you think actually young people are getting affected, or school-going children are getting affected by the lockdown? He talked earlier about parenting. Yes, please, if you can just kick it from parenting.
Thank you so much. Parenting is really nurturing a child in the way they should do things.
Okay.
Now, when there is partial opening of the economy, parents have to go and look for the money. They will not have any time to look up what the children are going through. Even the work that we say, yes, let the children study virtually, the children need encouragement. Okay. If nobody is following the work that they are doing, they get discouraged. If the work they are doing is not assessed, they get even totally discouraged, because they are doing, and what is it about?
Okay, on that I bought a package for her, and first day, second day I was very active. After that, like I lost, okay, honestly it was hectic for me. Like I don't want to repeat myself, this is not how they do it, so I got tired. I left her to do whatever she writes in that package, and I've never checked it. I'm being honest. And I'm not alone. Do not judge me. I think I'm not alone. Like, I just got tired. I got tired of shouting. I got tired of correcting. So I'm just tired. Like, I just allowed her to do whatever she needs to do in that package.
So
Is that
Rita,
what you're talking about?
Yes, Rita, thank you so much for accepting that that has happened to you. It's not only you.
Okay.
Even when this work is sent virtually to the learners and nobody follows up the work, they get, even adults, if you're doing and no one is giving you feedback, you burn out. So the children are also burning out, the ones that are receiving the work. Then the ones who are totally not receiving the work, it's another world. For them, they have gone into other things, because at this age of 2 years to 12, it's a forming age. Okay. Children need routine. Now, some are waking up at 1, some are not even showering, yet the children need routine. That's why we have timetables in schools, that this time you wake up and you'll do this. You're also communicating to the brain and building up character. So all that is being lost out. Moreover, the work that we are sending, when it is not supervised. When there is no feedback, the child also burns out. So we just need to rethink and look for ways. We had looked out for a way, asking the parents to deliver the work to school, but when we went into this other 42 total
they
lockdown,
deliver.
they couldn't. So we have been sending work which is not assessed. No one is looking through. So maybe with now this partial opening, we need to recall the work and work on it. But still, the work that the child has done for the past 42 days, and you're just giving feedback now, it doesn't match closely. Because the child needs each day. That's why when the teachers are teaching, after the end of the lesson, some exercise is given. The child is able to understand better. Also, the teacher is able to tell, has this child understood? Maybe I need to repeat this work, because you have got feedback instantly, which is very important. So in this new normal, we also need to look out for other ways of getting to the feedback. And sometimes when you're teaching, because the internet situation in the country is very poor, the child keeps on going out of the class and in. Even the teacher, the internet keeps, when it is not stable, they will go out, come back. But for us now, what we have done, that's why we decided to have a portal. Because as you're recording the lesson, even though you keep going out and in, the lesson is recorded. But still,
So you revisit anytime you get internet and
yes,
see
you can
what took
go
place.
to
Okay.
the portal and you have that whole lesson. Because for it will pause to record, then again it will start recording where you have.
Isn't that only accessed by Victoria?
Yes, it is.
What are you laughing at?
And the lights.
But what I wanted to bring
And
on
Alex,
that,
what do you mean on that particular link? Let's dive into shortly. And Alex, so when we're talking about Victoria schools, someone is like, if you could share with us those.
Now, the
difference,
percentage of the schools at that level is like 1%
true.
in the country. What she's talking about is for city dwellers and maybe some peri-urban. But when you go to the rural of the rural, you don't even think of data because they don't have any gadget at home.
Yeah.
They
That
have the
even
approach
access
they are
data.
using. Now, how do you look at this?
How do we bridge that gap, Mr. Bagomba?
Obviously,
between
that
urban
one is
and-
natural.
Okay.
That one is natural. We have nothing to do. We have those who have and those who do not have.
It's a natural
And,
code.
and we cannot solve it. But education should be a right, and therefore there shouldn't be discrimination. You see, government made a mistake in the first lockdown.
Okay.
They locked down the local schools and allowed the international schools to operate, which was unfortunate. Because government is a signatory to the Sustainable Development Goals. And Sustainable Development Goal number 4 is very clear. Education should be given and should be for all without discrimination. Leave alone these variances. Victorians, yes, they can afford to go online, they can afford to open up a portal, but when you go to a district like Kalenga, at the borderline with South Sudan and Kenya, they are talking of a portal. They may not understand you. How many parents are able to access
connect on that
and connect? So, you will realize that now the gap between the children from the well-to-do families and the poorest of the poor is widening. It has been there and it will always be there, but with the now COVID-19 situation, it has widened. So even when we look at these results, yes, they shocked us, but who shocked us? They are those who had access to some continuity of learning.
And you see, UPE schools still performed poorly, still remained the poor performers.
Of course, that argument has always been there,
yes.
but people do not know what they talk about.
If you could share.
They are incomparable.
Okay.
A child in UP school is paid for 17,000 shillings per year. How much do they pay in a private school? So that you compare and get to know that yes, we have given you resources, they are at your disposal, therefore now do the work. So if you tie my arms and my legs and you leave doctor as she is and you say, okay, run to the finishing point.
That's exactly why I want us to share. Let's share on that and give hope to parents who are watching us right now in that
Yes.
category. They want help. How can my child go through this?
But Rita,
Doctor.
before we close in that, I just want to assure you that it has not just been, yes, the portal is here and everyone is coming on the portal. We had to retool our teachers.
Okay.
They didn't know, no one knew Zoom. I didn't even know how to teach using Zoom.
Yes.
We had to train.
So you trained your teachers.
Yes, we had to train. And even after training, there are those who are still challenged up to now. It's a process.
Just like Mr. Baguma was highlighting.
Then,
here.
even this portal, when you tell the parents, very many don't know what to do. There are those who even tell you, I don't even want to hear about it because I can't. So you have to take them step by step, and also to tell you, not all our children are online.
Okay.
Because some parents have lost work. Some parents are waiting till COVID will end, then they will come. But for us, we have stood and said, should learning cease because there is COVID, why don't we look out for how to handle the new normal? That is what we have done. It is work in process. And I just want to talk to the parents out there that in Victoria, as much as we are doing virtual learning, we are also looking out for solutions because there are parents who do not have the gadgets. So you give them printed work. Then there are those, like for the young ones, they need things to touch. You need to do the visual
Kindergarten?
yes, even P1, lower primary. They need to see this sound, this letter.
And now we have a challenge, sorry to just interject there. We have a challenge with some parents who are seeing now kindergarten as like, when did we attend school, for example? I didn't go to kindergarten. So like that's how some parents are, comforting their children like, I didn't attend kindergarten. You will go when you're old. I think maybe when you become 7, you will just join P1. How is kindergarten so important, by the way?
We
Shouldn't
did not
parents just
attend
relax?
kindergarten, but we had environment that was kindergarten, because in the community, the child goes in the community and they are learning how to cook, they are learning how to count, they are learning how to socialize, all that, they are innovating in the community. But in today's community, do the children have an opportunity for that? Everyone is in
the
the
lockdown, I think they have had that.
No!
Okay.
They do not. Children are not exposed to that. Don't go to the neighbor. Stay here. The children are just hipped in here. So the mind is not thinking. Because in the other time when I was growing up, as I go to the neighbor's place, we are cooking, we are innovating, we are socializing, the brain is thinking, and things are working. But now, when I just leave my child to sit here, the brain is not thinking. There is nothing. This child is not getting skills that they need for life. Because as I was growing, I got these skills. These are the skills that the children are getting in the kindergarten. So parents, as you decide to leave the child at home, make sure the environment around is enabling the child to acquire skills that are useful in life. Okay. Because that is what basically the kindergarten does. Okay. So don't just say you stay here and nothing is happening. Something has to happen. Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Baguma, share with us, if the opening is due of schools, are teachers ready to boost children's brain, to boost students' brain, to boost pupils' brain, whatever category they are, regarding your observation, how it has been? You also telling us how some teachers actually need a boost themselves. So how is the country ready in regards to reopening when it is due?
Maybe before that is about kindergartens. You see, we have moved away from realities.
Okay.
Children in kindergarten are not supposed to be doing academic work. That is not.
What's the kindergarten age? Let's talk about, what do you
3
think?
to 5.
3 to 5.
Yes,
Okay,
because
we
the
are talking
learning
about 3 to
framework we
5.
have 3 years, 4 and 5 years.
Okay, please.
So they are supposed to learn sharing, socializing, playing, but you find these learners being taught academic things. They are even given exams, which shouldn't be the case. And that is as a result of competition, because if a doctor goes to the reality and the ideal, and the children from another kindergarten go home writing, speaking good English, then doctor will lose out of the market. And therefore, although she knows what is supposed to be done, she will also deviate and start giving exams, which is unfortunate.
Okay.
But I think the education system in Uganda, which we are using, needs an overhaul. And COVID has proved that. Now, when you look at the readiness of the teachers, one, we need psychosocial support mechanism for these teachers. What they have gone through is enough torture, and for them to get back to what they are supposed to do, they need to be supported psychologically. Actually, we need manuals, training manuals for parents, for teachers, and even the learners. If they say we have reopened and in the first week you are in academic because you know you have lost a lot of time and you have much to cover, you are wasting a lot of time and resources. Because I mean, the child has been at home for over 1 year in an environment that is completely different from the learning environment. Now, immediately you want to pump. You are making the bad situation worse. And therefore, we need a mechanism of psychosocial support. One, to alert the teachers and bring them back to what they should do. Because they are going to meet learners who have been in a different environment, and therefore behavior-wise, they have changed. Even school administrators and school owners need to know that the teachers they are going to meet have been away from the school setup.
Others have changed actually occupation this time.
Yeah.
For over 1.5 years, and therefore it is not the teachers you use it to handle. And therefore, once you are handling them, you need to be careful because you are handling a new group completely. So there is a need for preparation. Even the parents, they are tortured. Some of them have got disgusted. Others are looking at the daughters and they are like, now this one is going back
It's
to
growing,
P1.
yeah.
You saw when they were celebrating PRE results. Some of them looked very big girls, as if they had completed senior 4, senior 6. Now, we need these children to accept themselves. They are not the cause. Actually, I think even the ministry and the stakeholders do not take the president's word as it is, because he said 12 to 18. But those who are 16, Those who were 18
They
are now
look,
20.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are now 20.
Yes,
And they are supposed to get back to school.
And they are supposed to repeat the same class. Okay.
Now we need to prepare them that it is not all lost. Education can wait. But it can only wait when you are alive. We are handling a situation which we must all accept that it came with challenges, we have learned lessons, and therefore, how do we bring that acceptability? That yes, I have grown old, I should have completed P7, I should have completed senior 4, I should have completed senior 6. 2 years ago, it was not there, it was not possible, but I should still continue and complete. So, how do we prepare them? The teachers need preparation, the learners need preparation, the parents need guidance and support. So that there is support from the school, there is support from home, and we manage the situation as it is. But if we don't, then we shall see so many dropping out of school.
I'm still thinking, like, who has the answer for that? If Miss Baguma, you can, I'm sorry, Miss Wiyondo, you can kick in. Like, how do we make sure we support these children and let them know that, hey, some of them were in P3, or going to P3, but breasts are coming out, like for the girl child, and 2 years down they are not studying. Like, how do you tell them it's okay?
I really want to agree with Mr. Baguma's submission. For us, when the P7s, when they opened the P7s that recently received their PLE, what happened for us when the president declared that P7s were going to come back to school and gave us about 3 weeks, 1 month to prepare, what we did was to first call the teachers back.
Okay.
We got a counselor, and they went through psychosocial issues because they have so many experiences that they've gone through. Because while we were doing that was first to put them on course and also to be able to prepare them to handle the children, because the children also were going to come back with so many issues, and who was going to listen to these issues. So we had to prepare the teachers. Then the teachers, for the first week, we didn't learn. This going to the class? No. They were sharing experiences, writing, drawing, whatever experiences they had in their lives. And now the teachers started addressing individual child on how to do. There are cases where the teachers even couldn't handle, and we had to get a professional counselor to be the one to move on with that particular child. So what Mr. Baguma is saying is something that is needed countrywide for every child, for every teacher, for every parent. So that helped us to settle very fast. So for us now, whichever class is coming on, that is now the model we use. We do not just have them. We first work on the teachers, then when the children come, we also handle them, and there are incidences where
At
we
least
also...
I know someone is learning a lesson right now,
Yes.
but they can actually implement.
Yes. So we are doing that, and it really, really works. We have not done it 100%. We just learned that according to what has happened, this is what is needed. Even now, in this time, there are children who have lost parents to COVID, relatives, they have gone through, others have that have passed on. So those children still also need help. The parents in those homes